Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everyone to the BX Sports Jedi MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan. I am Austin. It's my coach, Chef Dan. How you doing tonight, Chef Dan?
Salute to you, Austin. Salute to everyone in the chat, everyone joining us, all 5,480 of our subscribers. Thank you guys so much for helping us get over the 5,000 mark and on our way to 5,500, potentially moving on to 6. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for joining us, not only on the YouTube platform where you guys have helped us to make this achievement, but also on the podcast platforms, whether that be Google or iTunes, Apple, whether that be iHeartRadio, wherever you're joining us, Anchor FM, Spreaker. Thank you guys so much. Spotify, thank you. We are here, Austin. Yes, we are, to talk about the UFC. They took a break that we didn't ask for.
Right, and before we talk about this past weekend, just want to touch on what you mentioned. We just got 5,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody. Everyone subscribe to us. We appreciate the subscriptions, love, support, and everyone that watches our show on podcast platforms. You mentioned Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, etc. We all appreciate the love and support. You mentioned we're at 5,400 plus subscribers at the moment, and we're close to 5,500, and hopefully soon get 6,000. But that's a big milestone for us, considering this channel is about a year old, somewhere around there. I think it was around June the channel started. So for 5,000 a year, it's pretty impressive, considering a lot of channels don't exactly get that. It's remarkable. So shout out to all you, shout out all the fans. Shout out to you, Dan, my dad, Caputo, everyone's on the channel. Wow, you guys, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you, and thank you subscribers, and thank all of you.
Most definitely. And with that being said, we got to get right into it, man. We got to get right into it. UFC Fight Night. This happened at the Apex Arena in Vegas. Not in Vegas. Yeah, in Vegas. In Vegas. Alexander Volkov versus Jayerio Rozenstruik. Volkov wins this fight via TKO in the first round. I mean, in that first round. Vicious business, as you can see. And Rosenstruik, the body language, that was it for him. You see Herb Dean coming in, that body language let him know that was it. And I really thought Volkov, man, it was exactly the way I said it was. If Jayerio Rozenstruik didn't set the pace, then Volkov was going to start to pick him apart. And Jayerio Rozenstruik tried to rush in a couple of times. He looked good doing it, but then he'd stop and get back into distance and let Volkov do what he does. And when Volkov found his timing, man, he just picked them apart. I mean, and really, that's just it for my breakdown. Austin, what did you see from this fight?
A lot of what you said, where Rozenstruik, rushed in, but once he went back for distance, that's when Volkov was able to pick him apart. And Rozenstruik threw a lot of heavy shots in this fight, but he missed about all of them, except for maybe one, but it didn't land clean at all. And he wasn't hurting Volkov at all. And once Volkov found the range, he really picked apart on Rozenstruik and was able to hurt him. And it was like under 3 minutes left. That's when he started hurting him and then dropped him near the K side. And then once there, it was basically the beginning of the end for Rozenstruik. And I know some people were questioning the stoppage from Dean, but I thought it was the right call. You mentioned when you first broke this fight down. I thought Rozenstruik's body leg was just not good at all. He was basically covering, but turning away, not really trying to fight back or get up. I know some people say Rozenstruik got up, but that was like after Herb pulled Volkov away. If he hadn't done that, he wasn't getting up that easily at all. And we know Volkov's got power. Before this fight, he had 22 of his 33 victories were by KO and TKO. So Volkov's got power in his hands, and that's something you gotta be aware of. And Herb Dean pretty sure is aware of it. And he saw Rozenstruik not really intelligent defend himself. I mean, even if Herb didn't step in that moment, it was only a matter of time for Rozenstruik to get hurt even more. And at that point, at that point, Herb Dean did the right thing and stopped the fights. It was not a terrible stoppage. Like I said, I can understand maybe going a little bit longer, but it was not a terrible stoppage. Herb Dean himself had some bad stoppages. This is not one of them. This is a good stoppage from Herb Dean. And a very great bounce back form. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, a great bounce back performance for Volkov, considering 3 months ago in London, he lost to Tom Aspinall and got dominated, submitted in the first round. And he bounces back in 3 months, gets a victory against the top 10 heavyweights and reigns in the top 10.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This was a great look for Volkov. A lot of the commentary when they were speaking of Volkov, they were mentioning the pre-fight presser, how he just kind of kept brushing off the Tom Aspinall fight. It's like, hey man, he just got me in London. It is what it is, and he was just kind of letting it go, not letting that fight define him. And we see why. He came in very confident in what he could do, and he executed on his game plan. This was, when a fighter comes in first round, they're looking to try and execute that game plan. They're feeling out, but they're looking to execute the game plan. And his game plan went straight to perfection, and he got Rosenstroik out of there. And Herb Dean made the right call there. You're absolutely right. And from there, we can move on from that fight to the co-main event. Dan Ige versus Movsar Evloev.
Evloev. Yeah, right.
Evloev.
Right.
Movsar Evloev. Movsar Evloev wins this fight. After this fight goes into the third round via decision. Austin, I'm gonna let you break this down first because I have something I think it's gonna throw everyone off.
Okay, great performance from Movsar Evloev against biggest fight of his career against Dan Ige, a guy who's been a contender in the division for a little bit now. And he had a great performance. He won the fight standing up against Ige. You know, Ige has moments standing up, but he would always land one shot. Ige, he never lands a combination. And that really hurt him as Evloev kept throwing, laying combinations and having harder punches. But also he mixed the takedowns very well. He was able to mix in the strike with the takedowns. So once he got the takedowns, I mean, Ige was in trouble considering Ige's at times takedown defense has not always been the best, or when he stick it down, he's had a hard time getting up sometimes. That's what Zombie did in their fight a couple years ago, it was last year when him and Zombie fought. Zombie did that to Evloev. And Evloev, who's a master of sport in Greco-Roman wrestling in Russia, which means he's one of the best in Russia in terms of wrestling. And a lot of his fights, he takes guys down. They even show a little graphic during the fight that 5 and 6 UFC fights, he's landed 2 or more takedowns. And that's what he did here. Took Ige down twice at least, probably 3 times if I think about it. I don't remember exactly how many times. I know it was twice at least. And he was able to mix in the wrestling strike. He landed harder shots and took him down. And he did one thing that some of us had questions about, which was how his gas tank in the third round would be, considering some of his previous fights, including his last fight especially. He gets tired in the third round. And in the last fight, you saw it and he got hurt. But in this fight, he didn't gas out. He was able to keep going and was able to take Ige down, do damage. But give Ige credit. He hung in there. He was trying to win. He was trying to fight, but he just was outmatched by Evloev, and Evloev was able to capitalize, able to punish him for 13 rounds and just beat him up. And also, what was the point going to make? I forgot what was the point going to make, but that Evloev now, I think 6-0 in the UFC or 7-0 in the UFC. No, 6-0 in the UFC now. And with this victory, he's going to move in the top 10 because Ige, I believe, is number 10 coming in this fight. So it looks like featherweight's a new contender now, another undefeated contender now in featherweight, with Evloev being 16-0 now.
Okay. I'm gonna say something that sounds a little funny to you. I agree with everything you said about this fight. I have no disagreement whatsoever. Though, if there was one thought I came away with watching this fight, was I want to see Dan Ige more active.
In terms of fighting more often or more active in style?
Yeah. More active in style and more active in fighting. Because you were absolutely right. He was just landing one shot. He looked really uncomfortable in the ring, like he had developed some ring rust. So now really looking back at it, he fought Korean Zombie. When was it? Last year, some time ago?
I'm trying to remember the date. It was last year. I know that. I want to say around summer of last year, like June, July, August. Around that time. Because I know he fought Josh Emmett recently in December. After the Korean Zombie fight.
He fought Josh Emmett in December. Yeah. Korean Zombie was in June.
Okay, a year ago.
I kind of want to see him he took an L against a rising contender. That's cool. I kind of want to see him a little bit more active. I don't know why, but at the end of this fight, I came away with the same conclusion that you did. Movsar Evloev he's a rising contender, another undefeated contender. You see the guy, he looks like a monster coming up in the ranks. Can't avoid this guy. He is coming up. But I also want to see more Dan Ige.
Yeah, I agree. Dan Ige I always enjoy Dan Ige fights. He usually brings it, and he's fun to watch. And and that's a picture of the fight. You see Evloev. I forgot I mentioned he did land that knee on Ige, and Ige didn't go down, I believe, which is really remarkable. He didn't go down.
He wasn't like he wasn't even chicken leg like that. Like he leaned on the fence a little bit, and they said they saw that, and they were like, "Oh, okay, he has to get his wits about him." And maybe he did, but he ate that knee.
Yeah, he did. Ige's tough, like I said. He's very tough. I mean, Josh Emmett didn't put him away, and Emmett, we all know Emmett hits like a truck. Emmett's got power in his hands, and he didn't put Ige away, and he landed some shots on Ige too. And I don't think Ige's ever been finished in his career in terms of knockout TKO. I could be wrong, but I don't recall it. I know he's got tough chins, and he definitely showed there that knee he ate from Evloev. But man, Ige, this guy was a rising contender, a guy who was near the top 5, and he's lost 3 in a row. Now, granted, it's the Zombies to Josh Emmett, who's fighting Calvin Cater 2 weeks in the main event in Austin, Texas, in a point featherweight fight, and now Movsar Evloev undefeated, a guy who's a rising contender. So he's had some bad luck, Ige, hopefully Ige maybe fights someone that's not a pushover. That's not what I mean, but someone that's not as like super tough like the three guys we mentioned. I know people may look at me like I'm crazy.
He's gonna.
Good.
No, what you're saying is he's gonna have to go down in the rank. You're gonna have to lessen the type of competition that he's getting because he's been facing the killers right now that are on the rise that we see are prominently going to be like the last. All right, Chang Sung Jung just fought for the title. Josh Emmett is about to fight Calvin Kattar in what could potentially be, after Alexander gets his business. Yeah, after Alexander gets his business done with Max Holloway, that could be right there the number one contendership right there because either of those guys have just as good a reason to claim number one contender. Like all these guys here he's fighting are killers and title contenders. So you are going to have to knock down the grade of competition. Yeah, but if you can get back on a roll, there is a guy like Dan Ige was one of those guys. He's not that far off.
No, he's not. He's not old too. He's only 30 years old. He's in his prime. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy who can bounce back, go on a run. He just has to, like I said, maybe fight down competition a little bit where he's not fighting these killers like we've mentioned. I mean, I know some people may look at me funny for mentioning Korean Zombie because his last performance, but it's Volkanovski, who's we all agree is a top 10 fighter in the world right now, maybe top 5. People are talking about him being potential pound for pound number 1. I mean, here talks about that. I mean, especially if he beats Holloway, I can definitely, if he beats Holloway, obviously in July 2nd, that'll definitely solidify his case. But Zombie, let's not forget, is a legit featherweight. It's a guy who's always was always in good fights, as being the who's who names in featherweights. But yeah, Ige's lost to Zombie and Mma, now Evloev. Hopefully, he fights someone that's not kill like those guys. And speaking of Evloev, what do you think should be next for Evloev? Considering he's probably going to be in top 10, undefeated.
Looking at the top 10, I'm not gonna lie, with everyone kind of tied up right now, you'd have a choice of maybe Arnold Allen or Ginchikaze.
Yeah, Arnold Allen's injured. I know he called out Arnold Allen in the post-fight interview with Paul Felder, but I think Allen's injured right now, so I don't know if how long he's gonna wait for Arnold Allen. And I'm trying. You mentioned Giga Chikaze. I'll say maybe Korean Zombie. They might give him that. Although I think I see him in Giga fight personally.
Yeah, the Giga fight would be closer as far as in ranking, and that's something that they could put as a fight night main event. Yeah, that's true. They couldn't do that if they want, or maybe on the maybe on the pay-per-view card, like the opening fight, or maybe a third fight in the card type of deal. I mean, Evloev's got options. Zombie, you got Giga, maybe Arnold Allen when he comes back. Hopefully he comes back soon. The injury's not too serious. I think it was a hand injury, so you never know. I mean, sometimes guys come back quickly. Yeah. One thing we can agree on is that the future is bright for Movsar Evloev. But we can move on from that fight to this next fight on the main card. Lucas Almeida versus Mike Trisano. This fight ends via TKO. Lucas Almeida wins this fight. Left hook to ground strikes. And this fight, this was an interesting fight. This was a really interesting fight. It was definitely interesting. I enjoyed this fight. Very, very good fight. You can see there. Oh, a cut. Yes. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show there. This fight was an interesting fight because you see, that's the cut on Mike Trisano. He got cut there with a clash of heads when Lucas Almeida was he already had him down, and I guess he was trying to go in for to take top position, and it's just unfortunate that happened. He was kind of bleeding into his eye a little bit. It was squirting out a little bit, but he could still continue the fight. And Lucas Almeida, man, this was a back and forth fight. Lucas Almeida took the first round convincingly. He took the first round convincingly in my eyes. He was just the better competitor overall. He caught Mike Trisano. Go ahead.
No, finish your point. Because I gotta say, Trisano won that round.
He caught
Remember Trisano land that left that hurt Almeida, then drew the knee that dropped him Almeida and almost put him away in the first round. If you go back and watch
you're right. I had my orders mixed up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I had my orders mixed up because I know they each won a round. Trisano won the first round, but he did start off looking slow.
Yes, you're right about that.
Almeida looked like he could have potentially won the first round, but Trisano came on. His grappling was really what was helping him along the way. And he kind of was, in the striking game, he had to step forward a lot more and be more aggressive in order to win those exchanges. But he was losing the exchanges that he kept just kind of playing in range. Almeida had him he just looked like the more fluid striker. And that's what won Almeida the second round. He was just a more fluid striker than Trisano because Trisano kept hitting the brake pedal. He was not all gas, no brakes. If he was, then he would have been able to mix in the martial arts and he would have gotten more grappling exchanges. And when he was moving forward, he looked better in the striking department. Almeida wins the second round, in my opinion, because he just had him in range. And when the cut occurred when Mike Trisano got hit. He got hit with a good shot, fell down, and then he went in to try and finish the job, but it was what it was. As far as the headbutt.
Yeah, accident headbutt or clash of heads. That's what it was. It was accidental, clearly. And
clearly accidental.
It was a nasty cut, but it didn't affect Trisano too much because Trisano, when the fight was staying up and in the third round before he got finished, was trying to fight. It wasn't like he was it wasn't like it was affecting his vision or bothering him or fighting ridiculous. He was somewhat composed. He was composed and trying to get at Almeida. Almeida was just better at him in the stand-up department, or in this fight basically. And even though it was a bad cut, like you showed earlier, but still, it wasn't like that caused Trisano lose the headbutts. And some people seemed like they weren't giving Almeida credit that they should have, considering Almeida fought a good fight and did what he was supposed to win, land the harder shots that dropped Trisano and hurt Trisano and finished him in the third round. It was a great performance for Almeida making his UFC debut as he moves to 14-1 now. Great performance. I mean, anything else you want to say?
No, that's you finished it off right there. That third round was spectacular. But also salute to Mike Trisano because he put on a good performance. He's not a slouch. He has some ways to go. He has to just keep the gas pedal going. I don't know. Maybe you have to work on cardio more in order to do something like that. But 9 times out of 10, I see something where if you're doing something like that and you're that good on the ground and you can strike effectively, you can finish guys within 2 rounds to where you're not expending your gas tank.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you've won 2 rounds and now you're opposed to gas and you're losing the third round. Okay, whatever. Just make it out the third round and you would have won 2 rounds. The style can work.
Yeah, it's true. By the way, great victory for Almeida. Now moves 14-1 UFC debut. He has a very good Trisano who's 10-2 coming to this fight. So this was a very entertaining fight. Probably best fight on the main card. If you think about it, because everyone's back and forth between 2 good fighters with good. Two fighters who are I'm at main card. I'm not. I said main card, not prelims. I know you gave him the look. That's because I didn't see prelims.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then, main card. I have some. Yeah. Okay. we could talk about the prelims another, later on. Next fight we're gonna go on the main card is Kareem Silva versus Poliana Botelho. Kareem Silva wins this in the first round via Darce choke, and I didn't expect this victory out of this quick of a victory out of Kareem Silva. You see her right there. She is an uber athlete. She is strong. Her strikes are strong. Her grappling when she locked on to Poliana Botelho, she locked on. And when she got her, oh man, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna hand off the rest of this to you. But when she got her in the Darce choke, I have to make a note of this. I don't know who was in the crowd, but boy, did they know their MMA. Because as soon as that arm wrapped around and this other arm came up, you just hear someone in the crowd yell, "She's got her in a Darce choke!"
I didn't notice that. Oh, I gotta listen to it now. I gotta watch it.
Like you gotta, because even the commentary laughed about it, and they were like, "Someone knows their MMA." So it was so fun hearing that, and salute to Kareem Silva because that was a very good victory for her. It was a little back and forth throughout the match, but she came out dominant, and her striking power is for real, and her grappling is for real. What do you got to say, Austin?
This was like I said, great victory for Kareem Silva. This was her UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken, and she capitalized on it, got a finish in her UFC debut, and she was able to the fight. I mean, once Silva was able to figure out why am I forgetting her name? Why am I forgetting her opponent's name?
Poliana Botelho.
Botelho. Once she figured out Botelho's range, and she was able to figure out Botelho's range and stuff, she was able to start throwing harder shots, which you could tell she's powerful. I mean, you saw the picture of her; she definitely looks like a really talented athlete. Got a great physique and all. And once she was throwing the shot, she was able to land a shot. I think it was to her face or to Botelho's body. I forget. That dropped Botelho that led to the Darce where they were in the ground, and I think Botelho was trying to scramble, but Silva was able to pull on that Darce. And once she pulled on that Darce, it was tight. It was tight, and basically Botelho had a tap because or else she was gonna pass out. And that fan somehow was able to tell. That fan knew MMA. I don't know if he's a fighter or maybe just rolls with guys, trainer or whatever, or maybe he's seen a lot of fights so he knows. But once he knew, and if he knew, then obviously Silva and Botelho both knew what was happening. Botelho had a tap or she was gonna pass out, and she, like I said, but Silva had a great physique and she looked strong. And if you're strong, especially if you look like her, you probably have a great squeeze. If you have a great squeeze, it's probably gonna make people tap quicker to a Darce choke than other fighters. Considering if you can put most pressure on someone, that get someone tap quickly. It's about the pressure you put on them. She put a lot of pressure on Botelho and was able to make her tap. So good job, Kareem Silva, getting victory in your debut. And that was great performance. A lot of finishes in this card. There was about exception the Evloev Ige fight. All the main card was finishes, and this was the third.
Yeah.
This was the third first round finish. Like there was the first three fights in the main card were first round finishes, and of course the main event between Volkov and Rosenstroik was a first round finish. So you had 4 of them in this card. So this was a great card.
Yeah. We get right into that next first round finish. Ode Osborne versus Zaruk Adashev. Oh my God. Ode Osborne, man. It was a counter right hook to some ground strikes. But ladies and gentlemen, first off, Ode Osborne, man. Wait, where is it? Performance of the night, because this guy, he deserved it. He deserved it.
Yes, he did.
Round of applause to him, because Zaruk Adashev is throwing bombs. he is throwing bombs, right?
Yeah.
And and Ode is dodging with the hands down like he's Mayweather. And you hear the commentary, and I myself am thinking it. The world is thinking it. Bro, you gotta stop doing that. Put your hands up and at least kill the power on some of these, because he is just like he is throwing bombs, bro. Like, you could tell he was gonna get Ode Osbourne out of there, because he even clipped Ode a little bit and it wobbled him a little bit, but it didn't happen. So then right after that, in the midst of all that throwing, Ode, I think he kicks him in the leg while Zaruk is throwing. His head comes down low, and Ode's fist, like, when I tell you, like, ladies and gentlemen, after they did the replay, I did the measurement myself. I stopped it. This literally was the one legendary 1-inch punch. His fist was already in the right place. He just moved it forward with the right intent, twisted his hips, made sure the power came from his body. Boom, counter right hook. Zaruk fell down, and then Ode finished it it was vicious, quick. It was nice, man. That was my definition of it. And then he knew who to call out right after that. He wanted Jeff Molina right after that, and Jeff Molina had a great fight. We're going to talk about it real quick on the preliminaries. I would love to see that. That was great. But what was your take on this matchup?
I mean, he broke down most of it. I mean, he countered. He threw a counter right. That was like that. He said it was 1 inch. He didn't have to travel before it landed. He landed in the right spot in the temple area, and then it was game over from there. I think his opponent was out at that point. It looked like it, and then the ground pound finished him off. It was just out of nowhere. It was like it surprised me. It took me surprised when I saw that, because how quick it was. And yeah, Osbourne did a great performance, a great finish, a great knockout. I mean, my goodness, that was awesome to watch. He deserved a performance bonus and call his shots. And I gotta say, I feel like Osbourne is representing like this. He is Jamaican. Because I noticed something. Like, I noticed there's been a lot of Jamaican fighters making waves somewhat that no one's talking about. Him, got Aljamain's Jamaican. You got Randy Brown from Jamaica himself. Leon Edwards, people forget he's from Jamaica too, but then moved to England. And you're right. I feel like there's another Jamaican fighter I'm forgetting. That's why I noticed. I was like, wow, a lot of Jamaican fighters are doing well. That's pretty cool. I'm surprised no one's talking about it. Let's see if that continues on, but it seems like right now it's been Jamaican fighters, or been fighters of Jamaican descent, or RIZIN. It's pretty cool to see.
Oh, yeah.
Not one had great knockouts, and he took the opportunity to call somebody. He did a good job after when he was injured at Paul Felder. But one that I do want to mention is that his opponent coming to this fight was 4-3. Why is a 4-3 guy fighting the main card of the UFC? I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. That has to be called out. How the heck are you 4-3 and you're fighting the main card of a UFC events? Are you serious?
I mean, it's all about how he got. I mean, I haven't seen any of his fights, but the way he got to 4-3 could have been to a way that certain fighters, maybe we don't know. Ode Osbourne's original opponent called out, and so this guy came up on short notice. You never really know. Before we move on to the next fight, I also want to give just a proper respect to Kareem Silva, because she also got a performance of the night bonus. So salute to her, because you can see it again in that just tone and definition of her arms. Once she's got you in the lock, that's it.
Yes.
From there we could move on from that fight to this next fight. Alonzo Menafield versus Askar Mozarov. Alonzo Menafield wins this fight in the first round, TKO via elbows from the crucifix. Austin, I'm going to let you take your piece of the pie because I have to say something else about this fight. But yeah, that's Alonzo Menifield, ladies and gentlemen.
I guess he dominated this fight. I think we can agree with that. He basically dominated this fight. That's not the fight. That's not a picture from the fight. It's just Alonzo Menifield showing like a picture of him against another opponent. But yeah, Alonzo Menifield kind of dominated this fight. It's not like it was his control. I mean, he pushed the. Okay, now you're good. He basically was in control. Once he took him down, I mean, he basically. We saw that his opponent really didn't have any ground game. I think that was the one weakness of his ground game, and Menifield took advantage of it and still hold him down. And once he got in the crucifix, which is one of the worst positions to be in MMA, especially on the bottom, it was basically basically his opponent was in trouble. And it's rare to see someone get out of the crucifix unless the refs pulling their opponent away because they got finished or the round's over. But in this case, he got finished because Menifield drew those vicious elbows from the crucifix, which knocked him out. And Menifield, we all know, has got a lot of power. I think 10 of his 11 victories by KO and TKO, or 9 of them, or something like that. So you know he's got a lot of power in his fists and in his elbows too. You saw it there, and once he got it, he was able to finish his opponents and get a great bounce back victory considering he lost his last fight. And yeah, great performance from Menifield.
You're absolutely right. It was a great performance from Alonzo Menifield. And I know I said he had knockout power, but I want to say real quick, I kind of, in the midst of all that complimenting, I sort of backhandedly disrespected him. Because watching Alonzo Menifield that fight night in the ring, right? And even how angry he got after the fight when he was like, this guy only got 3 records, man. Why is he in here with me? And when I watched him, I was like, I just remembered who he was. This guy is evolving. He wasn't just the power guy. Even in the William Knight fight that he lost, he did a whole lot of different things too. It was just that William Knight was able to stuff a lot of those takedowns and he was able to showcase more of his power. But Alonzo Menifield, he's not just a power guy, because all around throughout this fight, he had Askar, like, no matter where it was in the octagon, he had him just pinned to dead rights. In the clinch, had him. In the stand-up, had him. On the ground, dominant everywhere. So when he got upset the way he did, it's like, you're damn right, you're damn Skippy. And that's what I had to say about that. Salute to Alonzo Menifield, man. That was a great victory.
Yeah, very good, very great victory. You say he was evolving. He showcased his grappling, holding him down. He kept him down, winning via ground and pound instead of just a knockout strike or anything like that in stand-up. So, yeah, great victory for Menifield. Dominated too, Askar. Just dominated him completely.
Most definitely.
Like I said, the main card was
you were absolutely right. Just before we close it out, you're absolutely right. This fight was fight of the night because this was a very good fight. This was a solid fight. And for, like, you know, if you're gonna pick out of, you know, all the fights that went, you know, first round finishes, I'd pick the fight that went 3 rounds. Especially because it went back and forth. But yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, like I said earlier, this was a very entertaining fight night card. In terms of the main card, this was entertaining. There was basically 5 to 6 fights were finishes, with exception of the Ige and Evloev fight. But Evloev, you know, dominated him. It wasn't a boring fight at all. It was a pretty entertaining, dominant one-sided fight. And Evloev, you know, to show he's a rising contender. And this was a very good fight night card. Probably the best fight night card since the London card back in March. Although the London card's a whole nother level of greatness. I mean, that's a special all-time great card. But this card was pretty good. I'll give it that. It was a very good fight night card. The best one outside of that one, in my opinion. I mean, it's receipt bias, but this was a very good main card at fight night.
Most definitely. Moving on, some of the good preliminary fights. We got to shout this girl out. Friend of the show, but more so because she finished the fight in astounding fashion. Erin Blanchfield, she defeated JJ Aldrich to start off the fight night via standing guillotine in the second round. And this was after Aldrich started to kind of come alive in the stand-up game and get her 1-2s popping, got a lot of the head strikes, in the first half of the second round and later on in the first half of the first round, even though Erin Blanchfield kind of had her had her dead to rights in the first half of the first round, was stuffing the takedowns, and she, was very, very good in the stand-up game. This fight went back and forth, but Erin Blanchfield got the victory, so salute to her. Is there any fight you want to shout out on the preliminaries? Wait, you're muted.
Okay, am I not muted anymore? You hear me, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I was gonna say, shout out to Erin Blanchfield for a great performance against JJ Aldrich, who was coming in on a 4-fight winning streak. She got in a standing guillotine, which it's not often you see those in MMA. I mean, it's been done before, but it's like super common. So see that as like impressive, stood out, and she's on a roll now. She's won, I believe, 6 in a row now or something like that. I know she's won her first 3 UFC fights, and she's ranked number 15, I believe, going into this fight. So I know she's going to move up the rankings. She has to at this point, and hopefully UFC doesn't rush her in terms of opponents to potentially if hopefully Blanchfield, if she does win her next 2 fights, it's not fighting Valentina for the world title, because I don't think she'll be writing 2 fights. That's just me. Hopefully, she can at least win a couple, 3 or 4 fights at least before she fights Valentina. Just because, she's talented, she's still young. It might become like a George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes situation. If you remember back in 2004, Matt Hughes was St. Pierre was 7-0, fought Matt Hughes for the welterweight title and lost in the first round submission when St. Pierre maybe wasn't ready yet to fight for a title. St. Pierre bounced back and eventually beat Matt Hughes and became world champion. But obviously that's George St. Pierre. I mean, not comparing Blanchfield to her at all, to him at all. Not going to, but I'm just saying, hopefully she's not rushed. Like some fighters have been rushed. Like Darren Till argument might have been rushed. That's the only thing I hope she's not rushed. But sorry going a little tirade there, a long soliloquy there. But I was gonna mention Kareem Silva finally getting her first victory in a while, considering she had been a 5-fight losing streak, and she snaps it by submitting Felice Herring in the second round in the main event, the prelims, via rear naked choke, if I'm mistaken.
In the second round.
Yeah, and obviously it meant a lot to her because she had been this long losing streak, and this is a woman who fought for the strawweight title back in 2016. So she was happy to finally snap that losing streak against the woman who her last victory came from, Felice Herring 4 years ago. Excuse me. So yeah, shout out to Kareem Silva for finally breaking that losing streak.
And also salute to Felice Herring because with that fight, she retired that night. She said, in quote from her, "It's been an honor being in the UFC for 8 years and fighting for 20. I knew if I wasn't feeling it in the cage, it was going to be my last fight. Not in a bad way. I just feel like there's something else for me, and it's time for me to close this chapter in my life." And what she was referring to as far as not feeling it in the cage was that she's had a couple of knee surgeries, and coming back from those knee surgeries, it's been tough for her. So she said training camp felt good, but if in the ring she didn't feel it, she knew it was going to be her last fight. And so, she's moving on. And thank you so much for giving us these 8 years in the UFC and entertaining us with all these battles of yours. Thank you so much, Felice Herring, and may you move on into bigger and better endeavors.
Yep.
Another fight for me that I want to shout out in the preliminaries. Yeah, you took that fight from me. Ooh. Benoit Saint Denis versus Nicholas Stoltz. Benoit Saint Denis wins this fight in the second round via rear naked choke. And Benoit Saint Denis, man, this guy, he got a nasty gash on his face from rushing in and with the wrestling attempt. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like Mike Trisano's.
Yeah, that's bad. Oof. That sucks. At least he got the victory.
Yeah, he got the victory. He was game bred that night. It was a great victory for him. Any other fighter you want to shout out on the preliminaries?
Not I could think of, honestly.
I want to give a shout out to Jeff Molina because I know a lot of people thought his fight was controversial because some people thought Zaglas Zumagulov won the fight. But to me, man, it doesn't matter how much control you have if a guy is, spending the equal amount of time as you spend controlling as he did beating you up on this, on the ground, and you didn't provide anything in control. Like, you just only controlled, but you didn't provide any damage. And you had the chance to, provide damage in grappling, but he just didn't. So salute to Jeff Molina for getting that victory. The judges got it right. You thought he was gonna get screwed. It's the reaction was viral, but he got it, man. And salute to him.
Okay. Anything else before we wrap this card up?
Nah, that's it. That's it for the card for me. Oh, one more fight that I have to talk about because this fight was interesting for me. Damon Jackson versus Daniel Arqueta. Damon Jackson wins this fight via unanimous decision. Now, Daniel Arqueta, when I tell you this guy is a prospect in the UFC, this guy he could be Dana White's golden boy. When I tell you one of those privileges for who said
Tony Ferguson.
Who said Dana White privilege?
Tony Ferguson said it. When
you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Dana White privilege. Dana White privilege. This guy, when I tell you he has the look and the athletic ability for all of that to get Dana White privilege, he can. But man, you spent the last 2 rounds talking more trash to your opponent's corner than doing something about the fact that this guy was out grappling you. Didn't even provide much damage on the ground. He hurt Damon Jackson on the ground from positions of, where you usually can't hurt a guy. Dude, Damon Jackson has his back, and he's giving Damon Jackson a black eye. And he could still find time to separate, but it just came right back to the ground, and he just tired out and just was more concerned with gibbering and jabbering with his opponent's corner than actually taking care of the fight. So this was a bad look for him, man.
It sounds like Kevin Holland when he fought Derek Brunson, where we kept talking instead of trying to get off the bottom against Brunson. Kind of sounds like that, but a little bit worse. Am I wrong in that?
A lot worse. Because we knew Kevin Holland needed to work on his grappling. This guy, we know he needs to work on his grappling too, but he had the chances to put this fight away.
Yeah, that's just bad.
Anyways, that's our recollection of the that's our breakdown of this card. All in all, great main card, great preliminary too. I was entertained by the preliminaries.
Yeah, well, good card, and definitely a great return for the UFC after taking a week off from Memorial Day. Great return for the UFC as they return.
Definitely.
And speaking of returns, UFC is returning to pay-per-view this Saturday. As this Saturday is UFC 275 in Singapore, live from Singapore, and with two titles on the line in this event. Let me pull up the picture, the poster. Right, oops, there we go. As its main event by Glover Teixeira against Jiri Prochazka for the light heavyweight title, and of course the co-main events is the women's flyweight title between Valentina Shevchenko and Talia Santos. And of course, you have the rematch of the legendary fight between Joanna and Jedrzejczyk and Weili Zhang. And you want to start right? I guess we can start with the main event. Break that down first between Glover Teixeira, the light heavyweight champion, and Jiri Prochazka, the challenger. Jiri's coming in this fight, winning his first 2 UFC fights via KO victory over Volkan Oezdemir, and then KO victory against Dominic Reyes, who landed that crazy, ridiculous spin back elbow on Reyes in their fights. And for Glover Teixeira, this is his first title defense, as Glover won the belt in October against Jan Blachowicz in Abu Dhabi. And he became the oldest first-time UFC champion ever and the second oldest champion in UFC history. And this was, a great feel-good story for Glover Teixeira as he tries to continue this story against the young and wild Jiri Prochazka. I say wild in a good way, considering he is wild to his fight style. And man, it's very exciting to see his fights. I mean, what are your thoughts on this fight, Chef Dan?
I'm excited to see Jiri Prochazka. I haven't seen him in a long time since the Dominic Reyes fight. I wanted to see more of him, but it seems that he impressed so well that he was just waiting for a title opportunity, and now he's got it. I can't wait to see it. I'm not gonna lie, I think he's gonna win this fight. I got him heavily favored, and the only way I see Glover Teixeira winning this fight is if he makes it unentertaining.
See, I think I'm trying to remember the odds.
You can disagree with me, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember the odds because Yuri's like a sizable favorite, and I don't understand that at all. I think it's kind of a little foolish because I think Glover has a clear advantage in this fight, and I think it's the ground game. And I think Glover has a clear-cut advantage there. I think the one thing about Jiri Prochazka is that sometimes his ground game is not the best. We've seen in his previous fights in RIZIN and also his other fights where if you take him to the ground, he's not exactly the best guy off his back. And we all know Glover Teixeira is a lot stronger than people give credit for, and that his top game is really damn good. That's Jan Blachowicz, that's Anthony Smith. Other fights where he gets on top of you, you're in world trouble. And I think Glover is good enough to take him down, and if he takes him down, Yuri's gonna be in world trouble. And also, Jiri sometimes, as great as Jiri is, he's really good. Sometimes he leaves his chin open to get hit. Even the Reyes fight, he left himself open to get hit, and Reyes did catch him. And Glover, we all know he's got good boxing. He's a very good stand-up fighter too. And I think Glover can catch Jiri and basically hurt him. I'm leaning towards Glover in this fight, but Jiri can win. I can see why you think Yuri's going to win, why people think Yuri's going to win, because he's very unpredictable, and sometimes that can throw a fire off. But I think sometimes he's got weaknesses. I think Glover Teixeira is good enough to capitalize on. I think that's what he'll do, especially if he can take him down. I think Yuri's in world trouble when he gets taken down in this fight. And Yuri's powerful, and he can catch Glover and probably hurt his chin. Catch him, hurt him badly. One thing about Glover is that he hasn't taken much damage in a year and a half. He didn't take any damage against Jan Blachowicz in their fights, and the last fight he took damage was Talia Santos. That was like November of 2020. That was like a year and a half ago, so they haven't really taken much damage since. So I think Glover can need a couple of shots from Jiri. I think Glover will get rocked by Jiri once in this fight. I think he will. I think he'll probably eat it and be able to push the fight against Jiri and make Jiri uncomfortable. Personally, I mean, I really think Glover's being underestimated a little bit. Although, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised Jiri wins because of the way we've seen from him. And Yuri's fought some really good competition outside of the UFC in Japan and RIZIN and UFC too. I mean, he knocked out Oezdemir and Dominic Reyes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a way for Glover Teixeira to win. We definitely shall see what that fight brings, because a lot of people are interested in this one.
Yeah, I think
next fight on the
I think.
card.
Well, wait on.
Go ahead.
I do wonder. It's I'll let time difference, the time zone difference make any the time zone make a difference rather, because they are flying 10 p.m. in the Eastern time zone in the United States. I was thinking, going to Singapore, how would that affect fighters? Going to somewhere they haven't been before. Considering Yuri's used to flying Asia and Japan, but I realize it probably won't make a difference. I was just thinking that now, but yeah, never mind. We can go on the next fight. Sorry about that. I don't know what I was rambling about.
No, it's okay. That's also a factor adding into it, because some people would like the UFC to have, the fighters travel together, because travel is a bit restricted during these times. But some people, due to their extenuating circumstances, not everyone's coming from the same part of the world, so they're all traveling through their own means. But yeah, that may play a part into it in some people's performances. We can move on from that to the next fight on the card. This will also be 5 rounds, because this is for the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship. We got Valentina, the Bullet, Shevchenko versus Talia Santos. I'm not gonna lie, man. I can't doubt the Bullet until I actually see her get beat. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're both of the same mindset, right? Like, she's just like, it's not to say that, it's not to say she's just like physically dominant. It's just that she's really getting better with every fight. She's showing something new and different with every fight, and she really studies her opponents and what to bring into the fight. So betting on Valentina Shevchenko is like knowing you got a bill coming up. It's sure money.
Yeah, I agree. Like you mentioned, she's getting better every fight. I mean, she seems to get better. Right here, grappling, especially her grappling's really gotten better. Her stand up, we all know, has been good, but she's definitely worked on it, getting better. And we know she's a monster standing up. And Talia Santos got a lot of power in her. She's got 10 knockout TKOs, and she's definitely a powerful girl. And she's 19-1, and she definitely deserves this title fight. But at the same time, I don't know if she's the one that could dethrone Valentina, especially considering I think Valentina might use the grappling aspect of it to negate her Talia's striking, especially since she's got power in her hands. And I know Talia submitted Joanna Calderwood, but I think she hurt Calderwood that led to the submission. And Valentina is a much better grappler than Joanna Calderwood is. I mean, let's not forget, Valentina submitted Julia Pena back in the day.
And the other thing, too, is Valentina is deadly in the clinch, yo.
Yes, good point. Great point.
There's not a lot of people that put in a lot of work in the clinch that they do. She's deadly in the clinch, and if Talia Santos slips up, that's it for her, man. That's why it's like I can't bet against the Bullet until it actually happens in front of me. So we're both of the same mindset.
Do you think she gets a finish?
Let's move on from that.
Do you think she gets a finish?
I mean, what do you?
Because she's been getting a lot of finishes in her recent title defenses. With the exception of, what was it, the Maya fight, the Jennifer Maya fight. Ever since from Kagan, from Jessica I, and then to now, she's got like a finish, basically.
Bro, I'm telling you, I mean, she could get a finish, but this could go to decision. But it could be something where, like, because Talia Santos is better than most people think she is, maybe Valentina, she's studying her for 2 rounds, and then the last 3 rounds she's putting it together. It could be that. I'm not betting against the Bullet.
Me either. I'm not either. We both agree in Valentina win this fight. We can move on to the strawweight fight.
Yeah.
Win strawweight. which is a rematch of their legendary first fight back in March of 2020, right before the pandemic, between Joanna Jedrzejczyk and Weili Zhang. Now, this is Joanna's first fight since that fight. Joanna hasn't fought in 2 years. And Weili, we all know how her fights arose, where she lost the title and then lost the rematch and a close rematch. And, I mean, it's the first fight so legendary that that people are going to be disappointed, because the first fight was so damn good. It was fight of the year 2020 that people are expected to be someone like it, and it's possible it may not live up to that. So let's just be honest. It probably won't live up to that.
It's not. I don't think it is. Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be a boring fight at all.
It's not gonna be a boring fight. Yeah.
It's still gonna be entertaining. It's just not gonna be.
I agree with you 100%.
Like crazy, like the first fight was. And with Joanna, I do wonder. Like, Joanna hasn't fought in 2 years since that, and it's Joanna the same Joanna from before that fight. You know, wars like that get sometimes takes it out of you, and Joanna looks in great shape. If you watch it in bed, she looks like she's in really good shape, but still she hasn't fought, and it looked like for a while she hasn't really trained that much. You know, during 2020, early 2021 till recently. And we know Weili's been working on her wrestling, training with Henry Cejudo, trying to work on improving on her wrestling skills and grappling skills. Training, like I said, Cejudo in Arizona. And you do wonder how much if Joanna's improved at all, or how the layoff's going to do with her. That's the question. I feel like that's the main question, is how Joanna's going to look 2 years off the layoff, and will there be more grappling in this fight, considering Weili has worked on her grappling with Cejudo.
It's just going to be completely different, because that first fight was such a fire fight. I mean, both fighters took a lot of damage, especially for Joanna to be, 2 years off, removed from that fight, and she's going right back in there with the same opponent. Like, she's been mentally replaying that fight in her head. She's not going to take that same amount of damage, so this fight is not going to be the same, like you said. And how Joanna looks and what her game plan is coming into the fight is going to be a complete mystery, but I'm excited for that mystery.
I am too. And it's going to be a 3-rounder instead of 5 rounds, so that I do wonder how that will factor, because they fought 5 rounds, and Joanna won. In the first fight, Joanna won 2 of the first 3 rounds, and then Weili in the 4th, 5th round took over. I do wonder if Weili's going to go off to a faster start, knowing that she has 2 less rounds. It's also something to take in as well.
It could be. We're seeing that, over in the males, when you have also in the females too, when you have some 5-round fighters go back to 3 rounds, the rewards pay a whole lot of dividends.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like I said, it's great to see Joanna back. Definitely, Joanna's very entertaining as a fighter, and she's always, she doesn't have a lot of power and punches, but she's always entertaining through the volume she throws, and she is finished a lot of growth with volume. And Weili, we know, has got power in her hands. So yeah, this is definitely an exciting fight. Considering Carl Esparza is a champion now this could be a potential title eliminator, depending on how these women look this Saturday. If they have a dominant, great performance, they could slip right back into that title picture. Slip back into fighting for the world title, especially Joanna, considering she has a victor of Carl Esparza. That's who she beat to win the championship. Something that's also, we gotta mention as well.
Most definitely. But this is an exciting matchup. I can't wait for it. And 3 rounds, we're looking for some fire here.
Yeah, we can move on
from this fight. The next fight in the flyweight division, I expect fireworks out of this one too. Rogerio Bontorin versus Manel Kape. Both these guys are finishers, but they also can grapple very well. This fight is going to go all over the place. It has a possibility to go to decision, but it's going to be fireworks. I think this fight is going to be fireworks. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be fireworks with these two, especially with Manel Kape, who you've been very high on. Who's had some really good fights in RIZIN as well, kind of like Jiri Prochazka, fought in Asia, especially in Japan with RIZIN. Had some good fights over there. and then coming to UFC, he's won his last two. I think his first two UFC fights, right? His first two. I know he's won his last two. I'm not sure there's first two UFC fights. Let me check his record.
No, he lost his first two.
Really? Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, you're right. He did. Yeah, Pantoja and Nicolau, and then he beat Ode Osborne, who got a great victory this past Saturday, and then he beat Zagalis Zumagulov in the first round. So he's got back-to-back first round KOs and TKOs. Manel Kape is a very exciting fighter, and Jayerio and his opponent Jayerio Botarin is a guy who's lost the last couple of fights, but he's definitely still a player in his flyweight division, a guy who's capable of bouncing back and being a threat in this division. I know he's lost, but
Rogerio is the threat.
Yeah, Rogerio's, he lost to Ray Borg, who everyone's high on. He's a very good fighter, and Kai Kara French, who's about to fight Moreno for the interim flyweight title in July. And they lost to Brandon Royval. Split decision. Royval was no slouch either. Royval's a very good fighter, Brandon Royval. And one thing about Rogerio, he's got 11 submissions with 16 victories. So we'll see if Rogerio can get this fight to the ground and give Manel problems on the ground, because that's where he has a clear advantage. We know Manel's got power, so it's a kind of striker versus grappler matchup. It seems like if the fight's staying, that's Manel's best chance of winning, and if this fight's on the ground, that seems like Rogerio's best matchup of winning. It seems like to me, so I'm interested to see which comes for, who can implement their game plan. This should be exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if Manel wins this fight. I think I have Manel as my slight favorite, but I could be. I'm not banking on it. I'm not guarantee it, but it seems like everything's going Manel's favor so far. But I could be wrong.
I mean, I know that everything's going Manel's way, but I have to give this one a toss up because Rogerio lost against some game-bred dudes, and Manel Kape, even though the first fight he won, he didn't make weight. The second fight he won was very impressive. He's kind of, I know he lost to Pantoja and Mateus Nicolau. Those are some game guys too.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Both of these guys, I don't know. Both of these guys are very, very good, man. I just can't. As high as I am on Manel Kape, I just don't see it to where I just have him as an overall just guaranteed favorite. This fight could go either way in my eyes.
We'll see Saturday night what happens with this fight with Kape and Botarin. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that's it.
Okay, move on to the welterweight division between Jack Della Maddalena against
Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena. Hard name to pronounce, especially the middle and last name sound rhyming basically. Against Ramazan Evloev in the welterweight division. I'm familiar with Della Maddalena. I know the name, but Ramza I'm not too familiar with either.
Yeah, neither of me or you are familiar with Ramzan. I'm looking at it right now. He's had a fight on UFC Fight Night. He's been on a couple UFC fights, but I think they've been preliminary fights. He just recently lost to Danny Roberts, but after that, he had a 2-fight winning streak against Nicholas Stoltz and David Zawada. But a lot of his fights have gone the distance. Yeah, all his fights in the UFC have gone the distance. He hasn't really gotten the finish yet.
Right. Meanwhile, Jack has 10 finishes, 9 KO, TKOs, and 1 submission. He's on an 11-fight win streak. He lost the first 2 fights in MMA, won 11 in a row, and made it to the UFC from Australia. And his last fight was a TKO victory against P. Rodriguez back in UFC 270 in January. And he won his Contender Series fights in a decision against Angalusa, so got his contract. So he's had at least one official UFC fight, or 2 if you count the Contender Series. So he's definitely a guy trying to make a name for him. This is an opportunity for him or Ramzat to make a name for themselves in the opening of a pay-per-view. Both guys given a big opportunity.
Especially on the main card.
Yes, originally Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori were supposed to fight on this card, but Whittaker got injured, so they moved it to France in September. So both of these guys have an opportunity to make a name for themselves on a pay-per-view. And Movsar Evloev is
Most definitely
is 20-5. Like you said, he's not a finisher typically, but he's 20-5 with a good record. So should be a good fight between two good guys.
And Ramzan, he can go the distance. That's been shown right there. Can win a fight in a decision. So Jack can't let this guy stall. He's got to go for the finish.
Yeah, I agree.
Austin, I'm not even lying. I know I'm being a little biased. I'm just going to say this right now. There's only one fight I want to talk about on the preliminaries.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you say it.
In the welterweight division, we have Jack Matthews in the welterweight division versus Andre Fialho. Jake Matthews. Andre Fialho is back, ladies and gentlemen. Andre Fialho is back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a fan. I want to see it. I need to see it.
Yes.
This is the only fight I want to see on the preliminaries. I'm gonna be pleasantly surprised about anything else that happens, but this is the only fight I want to see on the preliminaries.
I'm with you. I'm 1000% agreement with you. That's the only fight I really invest in the preliminaries is this fight. See Andre Fialho try to do what Hamza did in 2020. He get his third victory in I think it'd be less than Hamza if he wins. Hamza got in 60 days in 2020 from his first fight to the Mershaw fight. It was 60 days, I believe, or something like that. I think this fight would actually be quick. I think it'd be quicker if he wins 3 victories.
It would be quicker possibly, but I'm not even looking to that. It's just this guy is so impressive because he's gotten rocked in a couple of his fights, but he's fought back and finished guys.
Yeah, he fought in April.
This is the fight I want to see.
I agree. He fought in April. And I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Luque and Muhammad card, I believe. Yeah, it was that card. And then he fought on the Gaethje and Oliveira card. Won both of those fights via TKO. And now he's trying to win his third fights. This is his fourth fight. He made UFC debut in January against Michel Pereira, which didn't go his way. But Michel Pereira is on a roll. He's won 5 in a row. Now he's ranked. So we know how good Michel Pereira has become in the welterweight division. And if he goes to beat Jake Matthews, he's close to being ranked. He's right there. I mean, if he wins another fight this year, he might as well be in the rankings. Especially if he keeps finishing people.
And the other thing too for me, man, he could have potentially gotten Michel Pereira out of there. So, and he felt that he just wasn't on his, he wasn't at his best during that fight. So, and he's showing it. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm a fan.
Yeah, and Andre Fialho's got good stand-up, good boxing, good stand-up. Trains with Henry Hoof in Sanford MMA in South Florida, and they have Henry Hoof's one of the best striking coaches, one of the best head coaches all of MMA. He's been like that for the last 10 years, so that definitely is a great fit for him. You can see why. Plus, I'm pretty sure he's trained with Usman when he was there, Gilbert Burns, and all these other guys they got over there, Chandler, and I mean, he's definitely a world-class fighter, training with world-class training partners in a great gym. And Jake Matthews, his last fight was a loss against Sean Brady, who Sean Brady's ranked number 8. But before they had won 3 in a row, beating Emil Mick, Deo Sanchez, and Rustin Akhman. Jake Matthews looking to bounce back after not fighting for a year. I'm not sure this is the right guy to go against in Andre Fialho, considering how good Fialho has looked. I don't like Matthews' chances, but if Matthews can pull the upset, he possibly could, but I'm not leaning towards that. Like I said, I'm excited for this fight. Surprised it's this low in the prelims. Surprised it's not the main event, considering what Fialho's done. If Fialho does another great performance, his next fight cannot be this low in the prelims.
Yeah, it can't be. And I know Brendan Allen is, he's a highlight reel guy himself, but I don't, I'm he I'm just excited, man. Andre Fiallo is back.
I'm excited. Can't wait. This Saturday. It's the prelims start 8 p.m. on ESPN, I believe, for ESPN Plus. The early prelim starts 6:30, and then 10 p.m. the East Coast for pay-per-view. It's a typical pay-per-view. It's not going to change. I thought it would because of Singapore and time difference, but it's not. So people in Singapore, I guess they wake up early for fights over there. What do you mean? It's the first UFC show in Singapore. I know Singapore has had a lot of big one championship fights there, but first time for them to get a UFC card, UFC pay-per-view there, so it's gonna be big. The crowd definitely have a big crowd there, considering they're used to big MMA events there in Singapore. One championship.
Yeah, but also I think if they pre-tape it, is it gonna be live?
Yeah, it's live. Yeah, they're not pre-taping, it's live.
Oh, it's not gonna be pre-taped. It's gonna be live. Whoa, yeah, that's right. It's pay-per-view. It is live. Yeah.
Right.
But it's gonna be live. Hey, whatever. They're gonna get the arena pack, man. I know they're gonna get the arena pack. I'm excited. We got 2 titles on the line, 2 5-round fights. We got the Bullet's back in the ring, man.
Yeah.
The Bullet's back. Prochazka's back. Zhang Weili versus Joanna 2.
Joanna's back.
Jedrzejczyk is back, man. Let's go.
The return. It's the return. That's definitely awesome. Very excited. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for this pay-per-view. Looking forward to it. Definitely gonna be a great pay-per-view, especially the 4 fights I mentioned. We mentioned the main card, and of course Andre Fiallo. And who knows, somebody's gonna have a great performance in the prelims. Somebody will. We'll definitely talk about them next week.
Oh, yeah. There's gonna be some excitement.
And before we go, I just want to mention this briefly, just quickly. Speaking of returns, a big fight just got announced for August in the bantamweight division between Dominic Cruz and Chito Vera. They're going to headline on August 13th card. Yeah, August 13th, August 6th. They're going to main event the event for that night. It's going to be a 5-rounders, an important fight in the bantamweight division. Especially, I think whoever has a great performance in that fight is definitely going to fight for the title next, potentially. It would make sense considering Chito Vera's built a name for himself. It's exciting fights. Dominic Cruz is Dominic Cruz. And if he could beat someone like Chito Vera, I mean, he may cut the line and get a title fight. And Chito beats Dominic, expecting to finish him. It's hard to deny Chito a title fight.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a big fight. I can't wait to break that down with you. I can't wait to watch that. That's a title contender eliminator right there.
I'm excited. I love both of them too. Those are 2 guys I'm really high on. I really enjoy Chito and Dominic. So I can't wait.
Chito has been putting on some solid performances, man. That Frankie Edgar knockout is vicious to this day.
Yes. Front kick, the Rob Font performances where he just destroyed Rob Font. Spiking out landed by Rob Font by a large margin. Yeah, it is the Sean O'Malley fight. We gave Sean's first loss. I mean, yeah, that's the famous picture of him doing the front kick on Frank Edgar. People talk about Ferguson, the picture of Ferguson in front kick. Whoa, Edgar. I mean, it's just not. Yeah, it's a vicious knockout for Chito. Chito got power, man. Chito got power. That's the one thing you got. That's the one thing you got to worry about Chito. It's the power with him. He's got pop. Frankie knows. Font knows. I mean, Sean O'Malley knows. He hit the right nerve
and Dominic is called plenty. And Dominic is called plenty of Chito's fights, so he knows himself.
Yes, that's right. Good point. That's an excellent point. Can't wait to break down. Let's see what happens. Dominic's one of the smart minds in MMA, so that's why his fight's so compelling. Got a young, hungry guy on the rise who's talented against the old vet who's still up there, still good, who's got the knowledge that Dominic Cruz has, who's called a lot of Chito fights. So can't wait. Like I said, we'll break this down in August when we get there, but just want to bring that up because that's big news. Can't wait for that. And I think that's about it for the show.
Oh, yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan, where we're breaking down all things MMA, the punches, the kicks,
elbows,
and the choking them out.
Chokes.
Submissions.
And these two. And these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was, you know, I ain't bringing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, one time. Yeah. Yeah.
As Dan, as Dan tries to lift up his knee. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're sitting down. We can't do it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do any more than that. I'm gonna catch a cramp before I have to head to work. But thank you guys so much for joining us, whether that be on the YouTube platform or in the podcast platforms. That's Anchor, that's Spotify, that's iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Thank you guys so much. Spreaker. Thank you guys so much. Continue to support the brand as we keep it growing and we keep giving you more and more. And we're soon gonna change and evolve the show and get it better and better. Please, guys, support if you guys want to. The Cash App's right there. Put it up one more time. Cash App's right there. Everything will go right back into giving the product an upgrade. That way we can give you guys better, quality information and better quality shows. But once again, thank you guys so much, and peace.
Yes, and definitely, and thank you guys for listening and watching us. Whether it's podcast platform, Chef Dan mentioned. Also here on YouTube, we just got 5,000. So like I said earlier, Dan said earlier, thank you guys. We appreciate getting 5,000. We appreciate the love, support from everyone that's subscribed, that's watched us. Where even if you're not subscribed to us, please subscribe. Hopefully you do subscribe to the channel, and definitely, and we appreciate your love, support. Those of you who watch us, we appreciate everybody. We thank you guys. So let's say for 5,000 subs and a toast to 5,000 more subscribers. And this is Mata, not beer. Mata, India. If you're Puerto Rican or Cuban, you know this drink. But yeah, salute to everyone. Salute to all of you. We appreciate the love, support everyone's given us. And I'm also.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are